Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time zone you may be in. I am Trainer Anade, and this is Winter Pride 2023 benefiting Point of Pride. You can type !charity in chat to learn more about Point of Pride, !schedule to access the link to the schedule. You can see the current incentives with !incentives, and you can use !donate in order to donate. But we are ready to get going right away with our first run of the day, Peggle Deluxe Adventure Mode, run by Brassbeat. Take it away.
Hello everyone. I'm brassbeat, and this is Peggle. We are going to be Peggle is it's a pretty well-known PopCap game. The speedrun of it. It's gonna be really wild. Lots of technical stuff going on. And yeah, as it's gonna we are gonna be playing adventure mode, which is just basically the game's any percent speedrun. So we're gonna see every level, and with that, I think we're gonna be good to go. So I'm gonna give a quick countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go. So yeah, this is Peggle. There's a big pachinko board that we are playing in, and we have to hit all of the orange pegs of the level to beat it, and we're gonna do this 55 times. Now, it turns out there's a slightly weird quirk here in that when you're playing the very first level from a new file, the game kind of has training wheels. Gives you training wheels secretly. So it's good. This level looks a bit different from the other ones. So for now, just ignore that this level exists. But easy. So yeah, welcome to Peggle Deluxe Any Percent. We are starting the speedrun on 1-2. Not sure why they chose that numbering scheme, but we're not going to be asking that kind of questions here. So, as you can, we have this big pachinko board in front of us, and we need to hit all of the orange pegs to beat the level, which is has a bit of an interesting dynamic to it because for most levels, the distribution of the orange pegs is going to be completely RNG, which means that for most shots that we're going to take, we're just going to have to improvise and see, and then hopefully with like the experience that we have, find the best shots available to us. That's not right.
So I know that some levels have like predetermined first shots.
Yeah. Basically, the run kind of underwent a huge development in the last few years. In that the idea of even predetermined shots isn't even like that old, really. Basically, even though like the distribution of the pegs is random, the physics engine of this game is deterministic. So if you can get the same input every time, then we can basically get the same favorable result if we know that its result is going to be favorable. Now for this game, usually what doing the same input means is literally just aiming at the correct pixel. Because this is something that's kind of an interesting coincidence. The game only takes the integer part of the mouse coordinates, and in your operating system, the mouse position does have like decimals attached to it, but for some reason Peggle just doesn't take them. So that means that pointing at the same shot every time is actually fairly doable.
Yeah, I actually remember. So I have actually done a couple of Peggle speedruns, but it was years ago, and I remember seeing those world records drop from, an hour and a half, an hour 40 to under an hour.
Yeah, if you think that just go the run going to an hour is already ridiculous, then basically the community just keeps surprising us with what's possible in this game.
Yes.
The current record, which was only very recently set, by the way, is actually at 48 flat. So in
Nice.
those 2 years, since N8 has ran the game, the run dropped by another 12 minutes.
That is impressive.
Now the world record history in itself had actually taken a really interesting turn recently, because basically for almost basically the entirety of the last 2 years, the world record was held by a very dominant speedrunner called Pnaha. Basically, Pnaha could just pick up the record on whatever category he was playing within like a handful of tries, almost no matter what. And for the first time in quite some while, the world record is now in the hands of a different player, an Australian player called Polypies. And also, I just died on the level. That's just what's gonna happen if you do a no reset run. Regardless of all the regardless of what strategies we do have available to us, you can just get really unlucky in the later part of the level. And it's
Go ahead.
also just doubly tough to actually like trying to like talk about what's going on when you're playing the game.
100%.
Usually when I play this game, this just takes all of my focus.
I was gonna say, when I have done my speed runs, I can't talk. Like, even if I'm streaming, I have to mute my mic because I cannot talk while playing this game. So there we go.
So yeah, a few more elementary things about what's going on. You see, each level has a handful of these green packs over here. Each of them is gonna give us a special ability, and for adventure modes, that ability is gonna change every 5 levels because we play with a different character. So in this case, we're playing with Jimmy. Jimmy gives us a multi-ball, which you've seen a couple of times by now, but usually multi-ball is one of the more erratic powers. Sometimes it's sometimes you get a really strong shot. Sometimes it really feels like Jimmy's gonna help nothing at all. That's just kind of the nature of playing with Jimmy. Thankfully, we don't have to. Thankfully, you don't have to stick with him for too long. Although, next stage in particular, you'd really wish we'd had at least Jimmy instead of what we're gonna see.
Yeah, so the sort of story of it is that there are these different masters, and you have to beat the 5 levels with each of their unique power-ups. So first one, Bjorn has that guide that we saw briefly. Jimmy has the double ball, and then each of the following have their own. And it's definitely very interesting that a lot of the times I feel like the masters actually their power-ups make their levels harder. Like they chose, the hardest level setup for this power-up, but
Yeah, it's actually quite interesting. You see that big slide strat that we went for over there. Jimmy in particular can really mess with those because with Jimmy the greens have the unique property that you see right there. Immediately when you hit them, it disappears. So if a green would appear on a big slide like you saw at the beginning of the level, then that would immediately break if it had a green on it. So this time I got lucky and I got a playable layout first try, but usually I would have to reset quite a few times to get a layout so that the strat actually works.
Oh, yeah, and I was gonna say, and that's one of the strategies of being able to get those big slides and those higher scores. You can get extra balls to. Well, obviously, the quickest way is to just hit all the orange pegs and then move on.
Yeah.
But sometimes you're going to run out of the balls and you're going to have to. Obviously, restarting is slower. So, getting more balls, which you can do with a higher score, means that you can do it in one try as opposed to resetting.
Yeah, it looks like I'm now in a bit of a pickle, so I'm. That didn't work quite well.
How about I read a donation to get you luck?
Yeah, go ahead.
We have
Also too late.
well, it's all right. You can try again.
Yeah.
We have a $10 donation from Kay Collins. Says, love Peggle, Warren Gay. I mean, you know what? Yeah, probably.
Warren Gay turned into a bit of a community meme. There's a one of the most popular regular speedrunners is Satan herself, and she has like a handful of pride emotes that were like relate to different characters, and the first one of those was Warren Gay, and so when that emote showed up on Pnaha's stream, then and he says Warren Gay, it immediately sounded like the funniest thing in the universe. Because Pnaha has just a way of making anything sound like that. And so that's the first of many many community memes that sprang up. Very cool. Very thankful. The Peggle speedrunning community has become very, very lively over the last past years.
Yes.
Not in part because there's been a huge influx of new runners from Duck Duck
Yeah.
actually trying out speedruns of the game. And so that's where most of who are now the top runners actually came from. Like right around early 2022. Other than that, I happen to be one of the few people who just sort of arrived here randomly. I just decided at one point, hey, what does a Peggle speedrun look like? And I was and it looks pretty interesting, so I decided to start running it. And Pnaha has been here for a lot longer, and so has Satan.
Yes.
Um,
So obviously, if you need to focus, but how did you get into Peggle speedrunning? I mean, you said like you were just interested, but was it a game you had played and enjoyed, or?
I used to uh, for a few years I used to play this game on the mobile version
Mm-hmm.
when that was like available. It isn't anymore because EA doing EA things. Um, but yeah, that's how I learned about the game at first, and um, it was back then. It was basically if like somewhere around mid 2021 where I was speedrunning different games.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the games that I was sort of focusing on at the time was Mario Party DS,
Okay.
which sounds um, to a lot of people it sounds kind of hilarious to speedrun a Mario Party game. Um, I've sort of enjoyed the sort of smaller. How would you say it? I like to compare Mario Party to like as like a sort of slower version of like Minecraft, where the speedrun involves requires a lot of improvisation, a um, lot of knowledge of the game, basically. Those are the kind of speedruns that I really like, but obviously, with Mario Party, you're still gonna be really dependent on RNG. So when I got a bit tired of that, that's when I started looking at Peggle, because it has a lot of improvisation, a lot of requires a lot of knowledge about the game, but the RNGness is a bit less here compared to a lot of other likewise games. So that's how I sort of stuck around here, basically.
Yeah, that makes sense. I never would have made that connection between those types of games, but you are 100% correct. Yeah.
So I guess I haven't. I've once again spent quite a while without actually talking about what's going on in the game. We are on the last level of the Cat Tut's levels, and Cat Tut is by quite a wide margin actually the worst master for a speedrun. It is not even a contest. Um, you when you hit the green, you get this pyramid here at the bottom that gets you a good chance of last second retrives for a free bow, and also a lot of time loss in the process. So hopefully we don't have to see the pyramid again. We don't have to see Katot again, but there is a chance that we still see the pyramid later on in the level, later on in the run. That's gonna be yeah, I think it's gonna be pretty obvious when we're getting that chance to show up. But anyways, now we've arrived at Splork. Splork has a big explosion. Splork produces a big explosion when you hit the green, which is pretty cool. Also, obviously, one of the most location-dependent powers. So on some of these levels, because Splork is one of the better masters, so basically that also means that the levels that you play as Splork in are gonna be a lot harder. You could call that well balancing. You could also argue that having a bit of an easier split would have been nice. But we're not getting that. So yeah. Also very interesting ending trick here. If you can set up this slide and can then get a really fast finish, which is actually quite important. If you get stuck on the ending part, you can easily get stuck for like 5 or 10 seconds at a time. And basically, since you're gonna be rolling for that those 5 to 10 seconds on every level, you can easily lose minutes if you don't try to do at least a few things to minimize the kind of time loss you get from there. Also, this level just went horrible. But it does kind of show off one of the main skills that in particular comes into play with Splork, which is points management. You saw on some of these harder levels, we basically want to get a few free balls to be able to beat it. I can tell from experience that on average you need 1 free ball per level. So on the harder levels, that's easily like you probably need like 2 or 3 free balls to be able to reliably beat it. But basically, there's 2 main ways to get free balls. One of them is to catch the ball in the free ball bucket, which will return the ball for you, and then the other is to score points. If you score 25,000 points in a shot, then that gives you a free ball. Which can make an immense difference if you can get that score bonus, because, well, usually, most commonly, if a shot scores a lot of points, then it is already like really contributing a lot towards actually beating the level, and to get a free ball on top of that usually gives you a lot of breathing room on the levels where you do need it. But basically, the crux of the matter is Splork is, in terms of points, Splork has one of the highest scoring potentials. So, in many cases, the kind of see, as you saw there, we basically got a free ball for almost no extra effort. So being able to manage being able to collect points well really helps a lot. And in the case of the Splork levels, which is usually like the first really hard stage for many runners, at the top level you can usually beat it, like usually survive this stage without dying like half of the time, which when you're actually going for PBs, that makes a pretty sizable difference.
Having to replay a level obviously is a significant amount of time loss.
Mm-hmm.
The slow bounce. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, that was better.
So of course this is Doug's favorite, Claude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Of course, Claude is kind of a cool master, and I think for a lot of obviously the element of difficulty has shifted a lot over the years. When you don't have like predetermined strats available, it's often really I forgot what this looks like. I think it's this. I completely lost my train of thought there. That's kind of what happens if you try to do two things at once. But anyways, most importantly is Gerald. This is Gerald Fish Bumper. Chat better say hi to Gerald, or else the run is cursed.
You heard him, chat. We have to say hi to Gerald. Okay, chat is in fact saying hi to Gerald.
Nice. So,
I'm pretty sure I remember casually I kind of hated Gerald because I got so confused. I could not figure out how to get him to move correctly.
yeah, that. I guess it's true that level can be a bit hard to figure out casually. This one's also kind of can be a bit of a doozy, even in the speedrun, because basically because there's like lots of moving elements here. If we wanted to have a predetermined strat, then that strat would also have a timing component to it here. So it sort of depends on the level what we can go for, basically. In this case, there's not really anything good we can go for, so we're kind of back to a very classic style of gameplay of just improvising and seeing what works and what doesn't. You're gonna see that a handful of times also I died again because, of course. The thing about those moving elements is, in this game, not that many levels have like moving elements, but if something's moving, then the rule of thumb is everything's gonna be moving. You're gonna see a handful of times that where things just shift between a very technical sort of do a preset idea right and then try to finish as fast as possible to try to survive the level.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of I know a lot of the top runners kind of don't like a lot of the some of the later levels for being like massive run killers.
Yeah.
I, for one, I of course am used to Mario Party, so I'll take whatever I can get here.
I think that's one of the things I really like about Peggle is that because of like there's very much a skill component, but there's also a lot of the randomness. And like it's not just, all the frame perfect movements because it's not feasible in this game.
Mm-hmm.
it's you have to use your brain and figure out, okay, well, this setup is in this way. What am I going to do this time? You can't just memorize it all. At least that's my thought.
Yeah, that's that I think is one of the cooler parts of the run as well. No matter how, even like the even like the basic levels, no matter how many preset strats you prepare for, you always have to deal with the randomness of the orange peg distributions. So there's a lot of there's always going to be a level of what I think is sort of I lost my train of thought again. Doesn't matter because over here this level we are actually going to see one of the most interesting strats of the game. So I'm gonna do this, and then hopefully it works. Nice, we actually got the correct variant. So for this strat, we go for a precision strat even though it has some moving elements. It turns out there's a 3-frame window where you can get this. 3 frames can be doable in a lot of games, but in Peggle, the game is fixed at 100 FPS. So 3 frames is not a whole lot to work with. Can use a bit of... You saw a bit of pause buffering I did there, which does help quite a bit in getting it more consistently. Now this strat is super new, also it didn't... Yeah, this strat kind of got broken by the spooky ball going in the area where I wanted to shoot next.
And that's one of the things with Peggle is, when the ball, the power up to do things that you're not quite wanting or expecting, you have to change up your strats.
This is true. A lot of runners will just try to resort to a more improvised sort of strategy if the main strat ended up not working out. I tend to prefer having a bit more knowledge of what a strat is going to do, so that I can know when a strat is gonna hit the green and when I should reset to roll for a better layout. But the strat at that level is actually super new, something I came up with like a few days ago. So wow. So I wasn't familiar with what the pattern actually does.
All right, well, you're getting this. Let me just read something briefly.
Okay.
Oh, nice. So just as a reminder, of course, we are all enamored with Peggle, but I want to just remind everyone why we're here. For Winter Pride 2023, we're raising money for Point of Pride. Point of Pride is a trans-led 501c3 nonprofit organization that specializes in different forms of direct support to trans folks, such as supplying free chest binders and femme shapewear. You can find out more information by typing !charity in chat or !donate to donate to them and, add money to fun incentives and things that we have. but I don't want to take more time. Go ahead. We're still playing Peggle.
Mhm. Um, s- um, yeah, I'm blanking out a little bit because this is the levels here happen to be just happen to be of the kind where the strats have changed a lot recently. So it takes a bit more effort for me to basically look at what is going to happen because usually like if you fix like if a level is played like with the same opening shots, then you can usually like get a decent prediction of what the middle of the level is gonna look like. So you can draw from a lot of experience of what the correct strategy is going to be. But yeah, obviously when I try implementing like a new strat, then obviously the rest of the level is gonna change in complexion along with it. So it's can often take a bit of time getting used to. So now what we're seeing here is we are playing with Tula, and Tula, there has been kind of it isn't immediately. We know that Cat Tut is the worst master for the speedrun, but for the longest time it hasn't immediately been obvious which is the best master. Usually, Tula is one of the candidates. Basically, what Tula does is, if I hit the green here, then it's gonna pop, specifically target a bunch of oranges for to pop. So basically, Tula is very much a go fast master. But the thing about what makes the stage very interesting is that Tula, by quite a wide margin, has one of the hardest level selections.
Yes.
And in particular, Tula is good, but not. But Tula is actually like, in terms of the speedrun, Tula is a lot faster on the easier levels. Where I'm much less dependent on like trying to preserve the shape of a level, basically. Usually, if it's something that I've kind of touched upon with Jimmy, if you have like these very brick heavy levels and a small gap appears like near the beginning of the level, then that's kind of that can often mess up some helpful patterns that you can use to your advantage. And because, in particular with Tula, hitting the greens early means that it's gonna do more work for you. So it just so happens that that sort of balance slightly tips in favor of using Tula early, but that makes the levels much harder than they need to be.
Yeah. Well,
So this is like the Tula stage is probably one of the major skill checks of the run, basically. We're gonna see. We're gonna see another one of those later on when we reach Cinder. Cinder is also very good, but also incredibly hard to use well. Also, this is kind of trouble. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Do this. Nice.
There we go. Okay. Yeah. Well, and one of the things with that flower power, Tula's flower power, is that when you hit the green, it does a percentage of the orange pegs left.
Yeah.
Which is why. So doing it early means obviously it's going to do more orange pegs. But yeah, I know at least when I was like very first just kind of trying to do a speed run, there were a couple of times where I wasn't as good at like angles and things. I would kind of keep one of the green pegs to the end because it was easier to hit than an orange peg.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, well, you know what? I can use that last green peg for the last orange for Tula. Which is obviously not the fastest strat, but when you're first learning, you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. There we go.
All right, and we have arrived at Warren. So I guess now is the time to post Warren Gay in the chat.
If you have Warren Gay emotes. You know what? Even if you just have gay or pride emotes, go ahead and post them. And so, of course, Warren's special power, well, so it's kind of a top hat, but it's actually a spinner that can give you one of several options. And
Yeah.
this is where Brassbeat earlier was mentioning it's possible to get Cat Tut's pyramid again, because you can get other power-ups.
Yeah, basically it's just as Annette said, there's 4 different options you can roll whenever you hit the green. Another factor is spinning the wheel takes time by itself.
Yes.
So unless I feel like I actually need it, I typically try to avoid hitting the greens here. Oh, that's not right. So that's the first time we saw that. We got triple score, which is highly situational. If the one shot you get with it doesn't go well, then it's basically useless. And this time we got an extra ball, which is basically triple score but less situational, because the only time the score matters in the speedrun is for free balls.
Well, at least in this speedrun.
Yeah. There are some really cool speedruns where the points do matter. One of them that I spent a lot of time in, sort of trying to get new strats for, is a category called is the category of the sequel game of this, Peggle Knight, and it's called the Grandmaster. And that category involves getting one of the post-game goals of that game. Since you can choose whichever one you go for, the one that's the fastest is beating all of the A scores of that game. Every level has a set score requirement, and then whenever you play it, that's basically another objective you can go for, basically. Which gives that run an incredibly interesting complexion, because you're often going for a score requirement without being able to choose your master because you still have to play that game's adventure mode. So yeah, it's possibly one of my favorite categories in the Peggle speedrun. And what's available in Peggle speedrunning, it is pretty tough. But it still has been a very interesting challenge to look at, basically.
Also, by the way, I see all of your Pride emotes chat. Good job. Flippers. So see, remember when I said you could get other power-ups from that wheel? There's Claude's flippers.
Warren actually has an interesting property in that the bottom text option is can be any other master, but we haven't seen every other master yet. There's still two more masters after this, which means at this point in the game we can't actually roll those powers. Which kind of makes sense. Getting your first introduction of a power as like a very small percentage roll with Warren would be a weird way to introduce the power to the player.
Wait, does that mean that that if you're doing sort of the the new game plus levels, you can get like Cinder's power up in that?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
That's kind of interesting because when I sort of realized this and told a bunch of other runners about it, they were actually kind of surprised that in adventure mode it works like this. Just kind of an interesting matter of perspective.
Oh. I guess because I have mostly done adventure mode, so
that makes sense. So yeah, we've arrived at the Cinder levels. This looks like an absolute nightmare to play well. This level in particular, but you're gonna see that we get a very we get something very wicked here. If I do this,
nice.
Yeah, the fireball, it burns straight through all of the straight through the pegs it goes through. So basically, since the shot that you get with the fireball basically doesn't really depend on any other factors. Basically means for all of these levels, I have basically sort of an idea prepared for what kind of fireballs I want to be going for, basically. Since getting the most out of your fireballs is actually quite tough, since you need to bounce a fireball off of the bucket, and that's for a casual player, that's a really tough skill to sort of manage effectively. In addition, you'll notice that I've gone for very weird fireballs so far, where you actually hit the side of the bucket rather than the top of it. And that is because the side of the bucket is actually a larger flat surface than the cap. Basically, the cap is actually arched slightly upwards. So if you wanted to get a specific angle from a top bounce, you actually have kind of a small window, timing window to aim for. So unless you like know specifically what timing you should be going for, it means that this sort of sidewall strategy is much more consistent overall. But speaking of knowing what timing we should go for, this is actually a level where I do go for a bounce off the top. So if I do this, then as you can see, it sweeps out exactly these bits on the sides, just as we had prepared, basically. So it makes this a very cool level in the speedrun because of how fast you can clear it, basically. And so this is a really this level is really janky. The fireball, basically these sort of big pack bunches, they're just a bit too fat for the fireball to be effective enough on its own. So we do go for that specific sort of get the ball stuck there strategy to help us along a little bit. But yeah, that makes quick work of this level as well. And there you can see, as when I run this game, the Cinder Split is actually like one of the fastest in the game. And actually, I'm almost dying, so I need to get this. Thank you. Nice. But for many runners, when they're starting out, it's really tough to sort of get through these Cinder levels efficiently. And so at this time, we've arrived at the final new master of the game. This is Who. The effects of Who are kind of interesting. Basically, it's when you use his Zenball power, then what it's gonna do is when you sort of confirm the shot that you're going for, it's gonna simulate a bunch of shots with like a small angle adjustment, and then pick the shot that gets the highest score. That detail that it's about score is a very critical part of the speedrun for a speedrun, basically, since in particular it means that there is a huge RNG component that you have to deal with, which is where does the point boost spawn. The purple pack that you see here, I didn't get around to explaining it, but it is basically, packs have a base value. So a blue pack has a base value of 10, and an orange pack has 10 times as much base value. The point boost, this purplish pack, it has a base value of 500, which is 50 times that of a blue pack. So usually what that means is when Who is going to be simulating a score, simulating a shot, and if Who's simulating shot and he sees a shot that hits a point boost, then usually that's going to be the best scoring option. Which can be quite annoying for us because we have to basically hit the green and then get a Zenball on the next turn. And then we're basically just fully dependent on what the point boost actually gives, on where the point boost actually goes. Sometimes if the point boost is on a bad location, it almost guarantees that the shot that we do get is gonna be kind of useless.
Nice.
Um,
By the way, I just want to point out that you said this master's name, and chat, very politely all went, who?
Alright, so in this case I got a pretty weird variant. Usually I can sort of... I do wanna... the basically opener shots that we go for, there's 4 of them that I normally go for, but I got a Zen ball on the second one, so I couldn't do the other 2.
Yeah, that random
This is
component, as you said.
Another one of those cases where it will be helpful to sort of have a look of where you're going at, where what your strats are going to do. But anyways, the strats that we go for now, they don't matter because we have arrived at Zen Frog. This is well, this is by far the most RNG based level. In part, it's because we're playing with who. Everything I just said about the Zen ball potentially just being useless, it's doubly, it's basically doubly so incredibly hard for, as you just saw right there, the Zen ball just basically did nothing because the point boost just spawned in an area where it couldn't do a lot. Which probably means that I'm gonna lose this level. Yeah, it was kind of looking a bit tough because the first few shots didn't get quite a lot done in the level, and oh, I am getting some free ball luck.
Cool.
Let's just do this and see what happens.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't get quite lucky enough. Now it is pretty hard to get. Yeah, that didn't work. That's a really hard thing to do. Trying to go for a bucket shot on a moving peg. There are some runners who are much better at this than I am. There's in particular there's George, who for the longest time, George was sort of the main candidate to sort of oust Panaha for the Deluxe world record, but basically George likes the sequel game much better, so that's sort of what he has been focusing on, which is pretty cool. To have like different people focus on different categories, basically. For the longest time, I had been focusing on the longer categories of this game, in particular Extreme Grandmaster, which is this game's 100% category. For a long time, it was sort of a really intimidating that was a really intimidating looking category, but I was basically the first one who got around to sort of trying to actually grind out the category, and now it's a decently lively competition. Anyways, enough about Extreme Grandmaster. We've arrived at the final at the final stage of the game. This is what the game kind of considers its final exam. So we get 5 incredibly gimmicky levels, where we get to choose our master freely. Now, since Cinder is usually the best at hard levels, that's what we're playing as. So for most of these levels. And so this level is incredibly, especially this level is incredibly interesting because it just this is one of the first levels where I decided to go really hard on prepared strats. You saw me go a bunch of do a bunch of precise shots that just clear out a whole bunch of the right side immediately. I go for like 3 different opener shots. There's a different line you can go for where you have to learn like 6 different setups. But I never got around to learning that, basically. Also, this is a bad start. So, if you were to ask me, then I think out of all of the I messed that one up. I think I just aimed at the wrong pixel. That doesn't matter. I can still do this one. Yeah, anyways, as I was saying, I would argue out of those final 5 stages, of those final 5 levels, I think this one is by far the hardest.
Really?
Well, in particular, the main skill check of this level is trying to like aim through the portal set. Basically, there's these portals on the side, and if you go in there, then it goes out of the UFO that's like moving around the level. Which can be incredibly hard to time things. To time things right through, and it is something that I'm not super great at. In general, I'm not the best with moving elements. I survived this one in spite of things going poorly. But anyhow, we've... now for this level, this is the second of really long pixel sequences. What we're going for kind of depends on how the order in which we do this in. It's gonna kind of depend on what sort of generation we get. Oh, I doubly messed that up. Okay. Now I want to do this. And
I can let you focus for a sec, and I can remind people. Just a reminder, we are, of course, raising money for Point of Pride. And when you donate, !donate in chat, you can put that towards both a target, which currently, if we can reach $500, we'll get Bomb Rush Cyberpunk as our first bonus game later today. And you can also put your donation towards a poll, which we currently have the file name bid war open for later tonight, the Link Between Worlds randomizer, either Lonk, Lunk, or Saku. And currently no donations are towards that bid war, so you can help us decide what that file name is going to be. All right, now you're on the DNA strand.
Yeah. As you can see, this is actually the last level. It has what I think is personally one of my favorite strats of the level. These fireballs that just kind of manage to just completely destroy it. And actually, this is time.
GG!
So yeah, that was that was the run. Incredibly pretty pretty neat overall. I think for a marathon run, I'm pretty satisfied with this.
Yeah.
This just happens to be one of the games where you're never quite sure what's gonna happen with in a marathon. So, anyways, there is. So yeah, that's has been basically the run for me. It's.
Any shoutouts you'd like to do?
Yeah, I think I want to give a huge shoutouts to the rest of the Peggle community. There's a bunch of course, there's a bunch of people who you've sort of heard like before the during the run, but of course, everyone in the community has been great at contributing to the strats, to the memes, to the fun of the speedrun. And if you wanna try it out, then it is of course it looks a bit intimidating with all of these precise strats, but getting into the run, it's really easy. Just you can just pick up the game and start a run. No big without too much trouble. So if you want to check things out, then there's of course the Peggle Discord. It's a very cool community, and there's also plenty of resources to get started. There's a video tutorial that Satan's made a while ago for this game, and there's also a over 70-page written guide that I made, if you prefer that somehow. So
Hey,
yeah,
some of us do. And I think the Discord and some of those guides are found through speedrun.com.
yeah, you can just go on the speedrun.com page, and there's and that's basically where you get started. So yeah, that's.
And then do you also stream on Twitch or?
Yeah, I usually do Peggle. I usually speedrun Peggle on stream. There's so much you can do in this game. There's like, for me in particular, that there's basically infinite content. Currently, there's a very interesting. Currently, people have been getting into level pack speedruns, which are basically custom levels in Peggle Nights. And what I've been focusing on is a very interesting challenge pack called the Super Pinball Adventure. So probably if I'm going to be streaming Peggle next week or so, that's what you're going to be seeing. And yeah, that's gonna be about it for me. So
Great.
Thanks for having me on, and good luck on the rest of the good luck on the other ones.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. That was it was a really fun run. I always am so glad to see Peggle in any marathon. And the fact that I was able to host and semi-commentate was amazing. Thank you for letting me join you for that. And go ahead, everyone in chat, stick around. We still have lots more awesome gaming to come. So go ahead, you can stretch, get some liquid, hydrate, but don't go anywhere. Right. I want to send another GG to Brassbeat for that fun Peggle run. I know that I'm prejudiced. Peggle is one of the few games that I have speedrun, not well, but that I have run in the past, so I always love seeing it. But we still have lots of games to come. Coming up, we have a Sonic block. So get those Sonic emotes in chat, get your hype ready. We're going to have lots of fun coming right up. And just a reminder, this is Winter Pride 2023 running all weekend. If you missed any runs in the marathon so far, you can find them uploaded after the marathon on our YouTube channel. You can also stay up to date on this event and any future events by following us on co-host Blue Sky or Mastodon, kind.social, or by joining our Discord. Links to all of those can be found in the panels below the stream or by using !social in chat. And we're here raising money for Point of Pride. Point of Pride is a trans-led 501c3 nonprofit organization in all 50 states and 100 plus countries by providing access to gender-affirming health and wellness services. If you'd like to apply for one of Point of Pride's grants or garment programs, you can or get involved as a donor or volunteer or just learn more about them, you can visit pointofpride.org or type !charity in chat.